Welcome to The Homeless Conservative, a show about principled politics for exhausted citizens. I'm your host, Blake Fisher, and I'm a political junkie so that you don't necessarily have to be. And I'm also joined by Mackenzie, who is also a political junkie so that you don't necessarily have to be. But I feel like we have different styles of political junkiness. And so we're talking about Epstein stuff today. I've never touched on the Epstein stuff ever because...
You're not a conspiracy theorist?
Because I'm not a wild conspiracy theorist. I mean, I like to pay attention to some of them sometimes because sometimes they are interesting.
Right.
And I think this is the perfect conspiracy theory because there are, like, every good conspiracy theory needs to have some level of truth to it. And obviously, there's a there there. This guy...
this is a good conspiracy theory.
I mean, in the sense that...
And it's like making MAGA fight.
Right. And that's really what I want to talk about.
Is that making you titillated, Blake?
Not titillated, but it is interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, and that's mostly what I want to talk about is like, how is this affecting Trump and the administration, and really less about the details of the conspiracy, because I think that you're not going to be surprised to find out I don't buy into most of the conspiracy theory stuff.
Same. I'm sorry.
So we're sort of on the same boat on that thing. So let's just like level set first with like the actual facts. I mean, not to go into like all the crazy details, but the actual things that are really true about what happened. I read the entire indictment of him from Florida and the federal one.
Really?
And
wow. Okay.
how do you pronounce that lady's name? Giselle
Maxwell?
Yeah, Maxwell. Mrs. Maxwell.
We'll call her
Ms. Maxwell because I can't pronounce her first name. I read all those because I was like, I'm going to read the actual indictments and stuff like that. So the first thing that was interesting to me that I didn't completely realize is that, so in 2008, I think it is, he gets basically this sort of sweetheart plea deal with the U.S. attorneys in Florida that basically say...
Who's later
than in Trump's administration.
Yes.
In his first administration. You know, and Congress did like a probe into this thing and said, hey, it might not have been a great plea deal that the government gave him and stuff. I'm a little more sympathetic to the DOJ in this case because I think what happened is to bring federal charges to anyone, like DOJ only brings charges when they're like 100% sure they're going to nail someone.
Yeah.
And they have a 98% conviction rate. It's crazy. And that's why almost all of them plea out. Mm-hmm. Almost all of them go to jail because the Department of Justice does not bring charges unless they are just sure it's a slam dunk case. And after reading the grand jury testimony, it was very obvious to me that some of the girls were not going to testify. And
I think that's what he said when like people were on him when he joined Trump, that like the witnesses were not reliable.
And so, you know, all of this Florida one that happened in 2008 are from things that happened in 2005 and 2006. So it's a very small, like less than 2-year window of time. And then all of Giselle, whatever her name is, Maxwell's, hers are from 94 to 97. So you're only talking about 5 years of these people's bad behavior being actually on trial.
Yes.
In any sort of way. The new federal one was beyond that. But as far as like the ones we actually got to some sort of deal or something because he killed himself, or we'll get to that part or whatever.
Yeah.
So he gets a sweetheart deal where basically it's kind of like he's basically...
It was like a year in jail,
But he was spending 12 hours a day outside of jail, like on work release. You know, so it was basically a slap on the wrist. He was absolutely doing wildly inappropriate sexual abuse of underage girls.
Yeah.
By minors, I mean, one of the witnesses was 14 at the time.
Yes.
And I don't buy for a second that any 14-year-old passes as an 18-year-old.
No.
There was all this stuff within that indictment and the grand jury stuff of the Florida one that I thought was interesting in the sense that he was very careful about... He was obviously very careful about how he's doing stuff. The girls that he would use, that he was also abusing, that he would use to get more girls. So he's basically abusing people and then using them to get more girls to abuse. It was all at this one high school in Florida. And they would tell those other girls, if they ask, say you're 18. Very obviously, like most of the girls were lying about their age because they were told to lie about their age, which insulates him from being able, she told me she was 18.
Yeah.
And then you've got a minor, no federal prosecutor's going to come after you for giving, basically happy ending sort of massages sort of things if someone really didn't know they were a minor. So I think it's pretty clearly he's being very careful in some ways and covering his bases and and legally having loopholes around this stuff. Also, the other shocking thing to me inside of the Florida one was that some of these girls that were subpoenaed for testimony in the Florida case were leaking that information back to him and his lawyers.
I didn't know that.
They mentioned it in the thing at one point that they didn't want to, like, one of the officers said, I don't want to say that because some of this stuff has been getting back to him and his lawyers, and we don't want them to know what's going on, obviously, in a grand jury kind of thing.
So did they know it was the girls, or they just...
No, I think they knew it was, yeah. So, because there were some of them that were like not wanting to testify. They were only doing it there because they were subpoenaed and they had to. But they said in the records that they, if asked, they like would not testify in court.
Well, and he did like settle outside of court with some of the girls.
He did.
For money.
Yes.
So that could be another reason why they didn't.
Yeah. And so, there's also, so my point is, federal prosecutors, if all of this hinges on witnesses, all of it has to hinge on witnesses.
Yeah.
Because by the time they actually searched his house, several of the things the girls described, sex toys essentially, were not there anymore. I'm sure he got a heads up that was happening and stuff. And so I think it would have been pretty hard to make a real case. So they basically pled a thing, and I don't totally understand how it worked, but essentially there were no federal charges. He only had to, that conviction, that plea deal he took in Florida was state charges. And part of the thing was like, okay, but we're not going to prosecute you federally for this outside of that. But then eventually a different court, a different U.S. attorney does in New York. And that's what happens in 2019 when he's jailed and then kills himself in prison, or doesn't kill himself, whatever we think. So I just thought it was interesting that we're only talking about a small amount of time. We're talking about 94 to 97 and 2005 to 2006, where we really have all the information that we have publicly as far as what happened. And without a doubt, he's a disgusting human being, right? He's doing this to literally 14-year-old girls. There were several girls that did testify that he did know they were underage. So he absolutely knew what he was doing. He's a monster, no doubt. And so is Ms. Maxwell, like, for helping him do this kind of thing.
Yes.
And I blame her. I don't blame the other victims that were victims and then recruited other victims. Because this is like a totally, perverted, the young girls.
And he picked on like people who came from like families who didn't know they were gone.
Which is always the case.
Yeah. So yeah, they were troubled girls.
And I'm 100% for not dragging those victims through that process over and over and over again. Like, I am generally for plea deals in these kind of situations because I can't imagine having to go to court and relive that over and over again and be on the record and have your name and all that kind of stuff. So I don't totally blame the federal government for not having harsher. Now, I still think 13 months with a basic work release is not enough when you've got enough proof that this guy is like knowingly.
Yeah, there is something there with that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that.
And that's what people, and then also like in that first case, like the federal case, they also said that it was like sex trafficking. He was bringing these girls to other people. Well, who are the other? I think that's what people want to know.
Now, nothing in
who are the other people?
Nothing in either one of the indictments talks about anyone else. Now, the reason that is because the federal government does not want to include any details that can confuse anything about their case, and that's why they so narrowly focus it on just the Florida stuff. 2005, 2006, they've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 victims that they talked about specifically, even though there were many more victims.
Yeah.
But they don't need to have testimony from 20 victims. You only need it from a couple, So, it never says anything about other people being involved other than the people that he's staffed with. I mean, it talks about like there was a lady that he brought over from some other country, and they were also abused in that sort of similar way. And obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell and was involved in some of the stuff in the 90s and stuff. Like, she was actually present for it and helped. I mean, it was such a clear pattern of what they did every time with these girls. It's disgusting. Totally disgusting. And I think that's what the first thing is that obviously riles everyone up. And that's why, because no one thinks this is okay. No one is like, well, So it pretty much unites all people in that this is disgusting behavior, right?
Especially Republicans.
Yeah, but I mean, even this is one of those...
like Republicans, like against like child molesters is kind of their beat.
Right. But do you think it's because...
we're good people?
No, yes, I think that there's that part of it. But how much do you think is that sort of, hey, we're like, there's victims here, and how much of it is, do you think, like the conspiratorial, this is the deep state.
Of a mix for sure.
You know what I mean? It's almost like an excuse for that.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually happened. So he has that silly thing. We don't get any new charges till 2019, and that's when federal prosecutors in New York this time go after him again. And it's a lot of the same information and the same patterns, except that it's talking about it's in Manhattan, it's in Florida, it's in, but they're still mostly focusing it on these couple things. And that's when he kills himself in jail. What's interesting to me about that is that obviously immediately we get, again, it's like a perfect thing because the classic sort of someone dies of suicide and we immediately go, well, that seems fishy.
Yeah. And it was fishy.
And it is a little fishy. Yeah. It's like he shouldn't, there's all sorts of things, but I generally like to, I think incompetence explains things
like
much
government,
more.
Government
incompetence, right? It's
1,000,000%. Yeah.
It's such an easy thing. Like you have a guard that's falling asleep. You have another one that's like shopping online.
Yeah.
They had removed his cellmate, which is like standard protocol. He tried to kill himself a month before unsuccessfully. He should have had a roommate.
Now, some people say like, okay, maybe no one killed him, but like, did they make room for him?
It.
Yeah. Did they like allow him to kill himself?
And I think that's possible.
Yeah. I do too. That's like as far as I'll go as the conspiracy. Like, did they like make the circumstances where he could, because like he had extra bedding. Why would you give a man that's already committed suicide, like try to commit suicide, extra bedding in the room? Like,
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so
I understand why people make that leap.
I do too. Now, what I don't understand is I forget her name, but she wrote for, I think, the Miami Herald and was sort of one of the people responsible for kind of like digging this up again in 2017.
I think she wrote for Vanity Fair. Are you talking about?
I think she was originally, I think she has now, but I think she was for Miami Herald at the time. And
she's kind of been like the main like journalist.
She's been one of the main journalists that kind of started stirring this up again and stuff. She's still saying she thinks it's a little suspect. And I'm not saying there's things that aren't wrong. Like the minute of missing tape is actually just a stupid system thing, which again...
And Pam Bondi explained that.
Yeah, and that's true. It's every night. If you look at any night of that footage, there's at the minute before midnight, that's a normal thing. Now, however, we have... So, okay, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So those are things that really happened. We know that, and Ms. Maxwell is serving 20 years in jail for her part of this kind of stuff too. And so there were real crimes here. And then Donald Trump and MAGA and the right... have been all over this since 2019. I mean, like it is... Including
like Dan Bongino.
Kash Patel. All of them have been, frankly, in my opinion, making tons of money spouting conspiracy theories.
Release the list. Release the names.
Yeah. And so they make all their fortunes basically being conspiracy theorists of all sorts of stripes. I mean, it's not like this is the only
outrage culture.
Yes.
I wouldn't even say like the outrage culture. And that is like an outrage culture type.
Well, and so much of it was like connected to that deep state thread. It was, there are powerful people that are pulling the strings here, and they wanted him dead because they don't want their... I mean, first of all, I think it's hilarious that they think it's just Democrats. First, I mean, like as if only Democrats are perverts.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump is a pervert. I don't care. I'm not saying he likes children, but he's a pervert, right? I mean, he's a gross...
I don't know if I'd go that far, Blake, but...
I would. Anyway, I'm just saying, as far as moral failures go, I think we're pretty bipartisan in this country.
I can agree with that.
Is that fair?
I can agree with that.
So it was always kind of interesting to me that like he was chummy with Jeffrey Epstein back in the day, and so was Bill Clinton, and it's like equal opportunity gross people that I think are gross.
Yeah.
And I think there's gross people everywhere. But the specific take it took on the MAGA side seemed to be, this is the deep state pulling strings, and this is the reason they killed him.
Hillary Clinton killed him.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton killed him. Yeah. And it was a perfect combination, in my opinion, of people genuinely concerned about, okay, why is this, like the DOJ itself is saying this guy victimized 1,000 girls at least. Like it's a wild number, right?
Wild.
That's a wild number.
Yeah.
And this is all we get is a slap on the wrist in Florida, and then he kills himself in jail. And I get that, like, most people don't feel that that's justice served. So I think there's a legitimate, like, everyone feels that way. And then I think there's a second layer that is, this is the deep state controlling everything, and this is somehow to get at Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that those people don't have the same first layer. I'm just saying there's a second layer. And then there's sort of the meme layer that is after that. It's sort of the, Harambe and the Epstein didn't kill himself. So it's kind of a perfect storm of just the internet ate this story up for a long time. And then we get Donald Trump, second term, promising on the campaign trail, and everyone he hires in his administration saying, we're going to release all these files, we're going to do all this stuff. And this is this is as recently as February, Pam Bondi's on Fox News saying, I have the client list on my desk.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think is the explanation for her saying that?
I do think Pam Bondi messed up big time. Like,
you think she's lying then?
No, I don't think. I think she oversold and overhyped, and then couldn't deliver. And then so when she went to FBI and was like, "Okay, give me the," they're like, "Well, there is no list. What are you talking about?" And I think that she again hyped it up in the press before she really knew what she was getting.
Right, but isn't that incredibly foolish to be the
Blake,
head of the Justice Department?
Yes, that's what you get when you hire ultra partisan type people like that.
Yeah,
and so that's what you get. And I mean, I don't think she should be fired for it because
I don't think there's a chance that happens.
And she won't be fired for it because they're not going to try and get someone else through it. There'd just be a huge mess.
A confirmation process right now would be a nightmare.
And I'd heard too that the Dan Bongino was going to quit.
Right, that was the whole thing last week. Yeah, there's a big blow up between him and Pam Bondi.
Yeah, and then that Trump calmed him down. But yeah, I think that was a mistake on her part, and I think that when she actually got with the FBI, she realized there was no list.
Yeah, because Pam Bondi at least is not one of these people. Bongino and Kash Patel are talking about this all the time to build a fan base, essentially, and an audience. And at least, I'm not trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt here. I'm just saying, why would we take him seriously? He's a radio guy.
I love Dan Bongino.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, I think he's a good person, Blake.
If you lie about conspiracy theories, does that make you a good person?
No, I don't think he lied. I think he truly, in his heart, believed that what he was saying. I truly believe he thought that. And Blake, I actually think he's even a better person now.
Does that make you dumb though? Then
I don't think he's dumb either.
But where's the evidence though? Is my point.
A lot. It is weird. There is a lot of stuff that is weird. So I don't blame people for thinking that it's a list. I don't blame people for thinking that he killed himself. I don't. I mean that he didn't. He didn't. I don't blame anyone, and I don't blame that people thought it was a cover up when all these powerful people are involved. I think that's very reasonable to believe. I think when he got in the FBI and then he looked at everything and he said there is, and he came out and for him to come out on Fox News and say Epstein did kill himself, that took a lot from him to do that.
So here's my question about that. Do you think that is because obviously something changes from obviously we have Trump the campaigner and then we have Trump actually in the administration, and it's not it's there's a lot of stuff he said on the campaign trail that we know is BS, and he's always managed to be able to flip that and just turn that switch off and say, well, we're not talking about that anymore, and then his whole base just goes along with it, right? So I'm gonna solve the Russia-Ukraine thing on day one. Obviously I was exaggerating, and then everyone just goes along with it. He's gotten away with that every single time he's done that. It's really never been a problem for him to be able to totally 180 from the thing he said he was going to do. And this does not seem to be a thing that's working well with that, but it's obviously
with the online crowd.
Yeah.
I don't think in the real world.
Oh, I think it works. I mean, just look
I think I think people who are too online, like myself.
Well,
we're seeing it all. The MAGA pushback from it, but I'm talking about real world people. I don't think I think this will die down very soon.
I think it could,
and
too.
I don't think it's gonna hurt Trump. I don't. Who cares if Joe Rogan doesn't like Trump anymore for this?
I don't know. You're talking about margins that are, he won not even a majority of the popular vote. It's 49.8% or whatever. It's
he won every swing state.
No, I'm not taking away from his victory. I'm just saying those margins are small enough that you don't have to lose giant chunks of people.
Well, he's not running next year.
Well, I know, but even for Republicans,
no,
when
I
you
don't
chain
think
everything together.
I don't think this will hurt Republicans.
It might not. You might be right.
I think
I'm open to that
people
idea.
online think that Megyn Kelly's obsessed with it. And she was like, well, I was at Turning Point and everyone's saying, well, yeah, because everyone at Turning Point is insane.
Right, but I mean, these people have been talking about this nonstop for years, and then
know.
to turn on a dime and pretend like we're idiots for continuing to care about something.
Not that it's like, okay, I thought it was the two, but hey, I've looked at the evidence, and you should I trust even more than Trump. I trust like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, because if there was anything there, like there are two people who would totally.
Well, but here's where my question
quit
is.
on morals, saying like, no, I can't cover this up, or being like, hey guys, like there is nothing there. And that's why I'm like, you need to believe like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Trump and JD Vance.
They seemed very defeated in that Fox News interview.
Because
they did not want to be there.
I think because they were like, yeah, man, there is nothing there.
And that's why I wonder, there's no way there wasn't a talk about this at some point. For them to go on Fox News, and then for Pam Bondi to do, for her stupid stunt with the binders, obviously put them in a world of hurt too. And then, because that just pissed those influencers off, right? Because
silly and stupid.
So dumb, because we got no new information. She was pretending
and it made them look like
deal.
idiots, and then kind of turn on her. Like, yeah, that was
the bad mistake. Now, I don't think saying the client list is on her desk is a mistake. I think it was a lie.
Oh, well, and a mistake.
It's a lie. Like, I don't buy her story that this is, I misspoke. I meant the files were on my desk.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
she lied.
You're
she was
a lawyer. I know you think about every single word you ever say.
I agree. Her, communication has been horrible. And I actually think,
how could you do it well? I mean,
a world of good if she did a press conference on it and just, answered questions. Because there are a lot of questions that I think
totally agree
she could answer that would, kind of help answer some of the questions or that people's fears that it's cover up. I mean, people will forever think he didn't kill himself, and people will forever think it's Liz. But I think a press conference would I think help everyone.
Well, so that sort of brings me to Trump, because I'm
on Trump's side on this.
Trump
on, people.
But Trump is acting like a crazy person right now.
First off, he is a crazy person.
He's a crazy person. Okay. But
second off, I actually think he's acting like a sane person. He's move the F on people.
But people
are drowning. The thing that happened in Texas, he's doing so many good things right now, Blake.
No, and he's actually doing more things that I agree with right now than ever.
I know, Blake. He's being a neocon president that you wanted and loved. And so, move on.
Right, but his handling of it seems like someone trying to cover something up, right? Okay,
well,
here's his
I mean,
right? Here's his truth, which is so long I couldn't even do a screenshot of it.
Why are you reading me his truth posts?
Because
his truth posts are always long and crazy.
I know, but
ignore them.
I think it's important. This is the president of the United States.
He's defending Pam.
No, this is when he's saying that this is a hoax. The whole thing's a hoax. It's not a hoax.
I mean, no, he's saying that the whole client list and stuff is a hoax.
Okay. I mean,
just read his tweet.
The radical left Democrats have hit. I'm not going to do my Trump impersonation. It wouldn't be good enough. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia.
This all sounds very sound of mind.
Right, but why are you comparing the Steele dossier that named you as a Russian asset?
Let me tell you why. Can I tell you why? Okay. Because I think that people think that people have been saying now, they're not releasing that because Trump's name is in there.
Right.
And I think he is really sensitive, and as he should be, maybe sensitive is not a word, to the government or, agencies pinning him down for crimes that he didn't commit, like the Russia hoax.
But it's his Department of Justice. It's his FBI.
I know,
now.
But the file before first was with the Biden administration.
No, it was his. 2019 is when Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
But the Biden administration had it before. People think that the Biden admin went in and were like, beep, bop, beep,
I'm
bop,
just saying,
Trump, beep,
the
bop,
entire the entire Jeffrey Epstein federal charges came under Trump's first administration.
Trump's admin is just now saying that they're able to release it. It was with the Biden administration before.
Well, no, because it was an active thing. The reason this is even... the reason we're even floating the idea of this being a thing that can be released is because Epstein killed himself.
Right, but Biden admin could have released it too.
Yes. And my point would be that if Trump was if this was bad for Trump, they would have.
Yeah, that completely.
Right?
Hello, Oppo, right? Research Oppo, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
Would have taken him down.
So it's there's almost every angle of the conspiracy theory.
But his name probably could have been in there anyway, in like a.
Well, it was. I mean,
because they were friends, and so like
same as other people that like flew on his plane and stuff. It has nothing to do, and no one has accused Trump of it. None of these victims have ever accused Trump of anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was.
Just like they haven't accused Clinton of anything, or Bill Gates of anything, or any of these other people of anything.
Oh, I will even defend Prince Andrew.
None of those victims. Well, no, he did get named by that one. Right, who also named Alan Dershowitz,
who is completely innocent. That's what I'm saying.
She later changed it.
I will defend Prince Andrew on that.
I mean, I think he's probably a creep too.
Probably.
I assume all rich people that are celebrities are creeps until proven otherwise. Like, I'm never surprised when some actor was behaving badly. I'm like, yeah, they're egomaniac. They're an actor. Of course they're gonna behave badly. Anyway, it just seems like this is such a bad handling on his part to be like, I can't believe anyone's still talking about this. And if
I agree, I can't believe everyone's still talking about this.
Don't you? But like when his administration amped it up, I'm not talking about just his campaign. I'm talking about Pam
and then they
Bondi.
came out and they said, you know what? We looked through it and there's nothing there.
So why not release it then? Because I am actually, this is one of those.
They're not going to release it, Blake.
I know, but. First of all, I don't think there's a client list. I think you're right.
No,
there is no such thing.
So what are they going to release all the girls that were...
To go back to the indictment that I read, it's very clear that he was pretty careful about a lot of this stuff. He wasn't ever the one that arranged
down,
stuff.
like, on January 3rd, me and this 13-year-old and Bill Gates. Like people think it's that and it's not.
No, all the evidence they got from that, they got from a warrant, they got from doing trash stuff where basically, which I didn't know this was a thing. I knew that like police would go get trash, but like they will actually have the trash service pick up someone's trash with a warrant. They don't really need to have a warrant because it's discarded. But anyway, they will have them like discard the trash into a separate area of a trash truck, not with the main stuff. And then they'll go through it and they were finding, scraps of paper with girls' numbers on it and stuff like that. So this is not some computer log that they got into and said, jackpot. When we hear about the thousands of videos, it's just porn is what it is. It's not of the victims. We've never seen anything that says it's of the victims. And none of the indictments mentioned cameras or anything in those kind of situations. So this seems like a guy that was pretty careful, not perfectly careful. Obviously, when you're doing this thousands and thousands of times, you're going to screw up sometimes probably. But to me, it's so obvious that someone would not have some list, some like digital file that can like totally nail them to the wall and anyone else. Because the theories of blackmail and stuff, to me, I've seen no evidence that any of that ever happened.
Right.
I've seen none. And
I think there's another why people are so, because they do like, where did he get all his money?
Right. Now that is super suspect. And I get that. I mean,
and so that adds like another level.
The most credible conspiracy theory in any of this is that he was an intelligence asset.
Yeah.
That's the best. It really is. I mean,
yeah, but what, for Israel?
No, I see. Here's the reason
what people are saying.
Here's the reason I don't believe it is, though, is because I don't believe, and maybe this is naive of me to think so. I don't believe. First of all, I think the Israel thing is just such a clear anti-Semitic cop-out.
Same.
Right? It's like, let's blame the Jews for Jeffrey Epstein.
Sure.
It's not this guy was a monster and a pedophile. It's that the Jews were behind it. Yeah. It's so anti-Semitic. It drives me crazy.
I mean, there is like the connection that they're making with, but
I don't. Those are like not real connections. I mean, I do see that you go, here's a guy with seemingly unlimited resources that no one really knows how he gets his money, and he does seem to travel in sort of these. Bill Clinton's a creep. Donald Trump's a creep. A lot of these people are creeps, and they're all hanging out together. That doesn't mean that they all know each other. I mean, I think it's probably like a don't ask, don't tell kind of situation with these kind of people. I doubt they just all have dirt on each other that they could blackmail each other with. It doesn't seem like that would.
Yeah.
It seems like we would have there'd be more evidence of it happening. So
what country do you think he'd be an asset of?
Well, he could be the CIA's. I mean, I don't think that's like beyond the realm of something that could happen. However, I don't think the CIA would allow someone to do that with underage girls.
No. And
honeypotting is like something they absolutely do. I don't think they do it with underage girls. I would be shocked to find that out. And that would be a gigantic scandal.
Yes. Well, and Alan Dershowitz, his lawyer, said like, to his, because he's kind of talking about it now too, and to the asset, he was like, I was his lawyer, and I was saying, give me anything to help you get a really good deal.
Right.
Like, and if he was an asset of someone, he'd be like, hey,
he would have told.
I'm an asset of this country. I'm in the CIA. Yeah. Like, get me out. Like, I'm not going to jail. And even like Giselle, like she's facing 20 years. You don't think she would say, hey, Jeffrey Epstein is an asset?
Exactly. And
like, Hello.
And that's the reason I don't believe it, is because she would know.
Megyn Kelly is peddling this.
Yeah, she would know, and she would use that
1,000,000%.
to get out of this.
Yeah.
And the only thing she's arguing right now is that she couldn't be tried because of his original plea deal, said it wouldn't do his accomplices, but they're saying that's obviously if he was not covered under that from a different U.S. district court, then neither would she be.
Well, they were going to fight that, like, for his...
Well, and also, she wasn't even one of the people in any of that indictment. She was not mentioned at all in that Florida one. It's all people that were on staff with him at that house that were named as sort of... And by the way, the other people that are accomplices, again, I think that's worth just mentioning, were also victims of his.
Yeah.
That he was then saying, I mean, honestly, this is what's the really gross part. They essentially aged out for him, and then he asked them to go get him younger girls.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
It's gross. And what I don't like about all the, like, oh, it's the Jews, it's the CIA, is that to me, it's kind of like excusing, like he didn't have the agency and it wasn't really that he's an evil person. But what's so interesting about that to me is that the whole conspiracy theory is that there's this evil cabal of pedophiles that are running the United States government, which I also don't buy. Like there's just not any evidence that that's the case. So I don't know. I feel like Trump's handling of it is not, it'd be different if he came out and said, hey, I said we'd look into it. We looked into it.
He basically has said that in his own way, Blake.
But his own way was, I can't believe anyone's still talking about this.
I can't believe anyone's still talking about this.
But like this just happened, and people have questions, and I think it's legit to ask, like, why can't they release the files? Do you not think that's legit?
She basically said because it's just like a bunch of child porn and like kids' names.
No,
like
but like that
names.
that obviously we don't need to see. I'm just saying, but like the actual documents and stuff like that. Like why can't we see?
Okay, release them, and then there'll be, of course, names redacted, and then people will say that the names redacted are people.
Right.
Like,
and some people
it
are going
will
to
not satisfy anyone.
You're right,
Blake.
but I think it will satisfy. I disagree there. I think it would satisfy most of the people because I think those two layers of most people just care about the fact that this guy had like sexually assaulted thousands of girls and we're just like, meh. And that's what it seems like the federal government did twice now. Because it seems like they did that in 2008 with the original stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think when you get down to the legal weeds of it, it is understandable. I think it's a weird judgment call that you have to make.
I think it was weird because, you know, that same woman that you talked about that like wrote for the Miami Herald and then worked for, she says that someone in the Trump transition team, and she like swears by this, said that when the Florida AG was like coming onto the Trump team, and they said like, well, do you think we'll have a problem with like your, you know, how you handled the Epstein case? He said no, because he's an asset. Right. And she swears by this. Yeah. And so that's.
I also think there are journalists that can be bad at judgment too. And she might be one of them. I don't know. I mean, I absolutely give her credit for being the person that continued to pursue this when she like heard an interview today. Like he like threatened her children. Like like broke into this, somehow got into like the Vanity Fair files. Was in her office.
Yes, like insane.
Was in her
stuff.
office telling her to drop it. And yeah, I mean, he's a total creep, like without a doubt. And so I give her all the credit for that. I read her article that she had. It was I think from her blog, but they redid it in the Free Press. And what I didn't like about it is she goes, look at all these suspicious things that happen. And then she lists like the victims that have killed themselves or had drug overdoses. And I'm like, that's so common with victims of sexual assault. It absolutely is. People. It's like,
it's really sad.
It's like they were troubled as teenagers. They were like victims of this crime. They potentially had to be subpoenaed for all this stuff. They had to get dragged through it again. And the main girl, I forget her name, the one that did accuse, and actually like civilly.
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia. I can't remember her last name. You know, like she was going through a divorce. Her husband had taken away custody of her kids. She was not in a good place. She was on drugs, no doubt. So like, it's not suspicious. It's tragic that she died of a drug overdose.
Find that suspicious.
It's not suspicious though.
No.
And I think the problem with conspiracy theories is that everyone looks at little things and they try to group them all together and say, oh, together, that just seems weird. And I don't see it. I don't see the there when it comes to even him committing suicide. Like that's not strange for me that a guy that's facing a long time in prison, and do you know who do not get treated well in prison? Is people that abuse kids. Like that is the one. Like,
I don't think that's weird at all.
Murderers, drug dealers.
Although his brother doesn't think he did it, and his lawyer too had said that like I'm like now. Yeah. His lawyer said that like he was hopeful about the case because like he was saying that like, well, you can't charge me now from like the past. Like he was going to try to do the same thing that Giselle had said.
But I also think someone that's that sick in the head, you can't predict how they function.
I completely think he killed
like
himself.
He is not a normal human being with rational thoughts. This is a guy that preyed on a thousand.
But you know, like we're in the moon. Like I think they did a poll of people who think that Jeffrey Epstein was killed or like killed himself. And I think it's like 60-70% people think he was murdered.
And listen, I don't think that's totally unreasonable. I think that's the most
because
reasonable.
We're reasonable.
I'm just saying that's the most reasonable part of all this conspiracy theory. Like I don't buy
that he was killed like that. Like that would have had to been like a Mission Impossible type murder.
I agree, but it's still the most plausible part of the whole conspiracy theory because I
think the most plausible is if they gave room to him for him to kill himself.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But I've hardly ever heard that be mentioned. But I that's an interesting thing. I think that's more interesting than you're right. Because we have a camera that can, it's not outside of his cell, but like, and first of all, most of the stuff I've seen online is so easily debunked. They're like, those aren't even the same doors. It's like, yeah, they're two different cameras, and that's not his cell door. That's on a floor above looking down. But you can see the walkway. No one goes by.
Yeah.
So he's definitely alone. Unless someone, you're right, did some sort of Mission Impossible from the ceiling of his cell, which I'm sure isn't even possible. And all that doesn't, I think, again, government ineptitude.
Yeah.
It always explains things better than and plus I just don't believe that people can keep secrets. I
completely agree.
I don't buy that anyone can keep secrets.
Same.
And so, but
like with the JFK, like.
Right. Like, do we really think, or the moon landing? You really think like the Russians wouldn't have found out about that and blown the cover off? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. 400,000 people lied about it for 50 years. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's where I always go is like, how many people have to keep this secret? And who would want Jeffrey Epstein dead? And like, if there was some sort of client list, that doesn't necessarily help you get rid of it. He would have already offered it up in some sort of plea deal to try to get a deal if he thought that would be a bargaining chip that he could use. And so I don't buy a lot of conspiracy theories, but I mean, do you think so you don't think it's going to make a big deal? You think this is, even though
no, because people are not terminally online, like, and it will die down. Like I do think, and I think Laura Trump was on some show and she did say like, she thought there was going to be like more coming out, like from the Trump admin, like, just to try to like quiet them down. They got to
do something, right?
Yeah, so I think they are going to do something, like try and release something to like help people chill out.
Yeah.
But no, I think like this is like the scandal of the week or month maybe. And and like there will be another one soon with the
Here's
Trump
the only
admin.
reason that I'm a little bit less feeling that way. I tend to feel that way, and which is why I don't jump on these topics immediately because they don't matter even 2 days later. I thought there was at least some interesting stuff when he chose to bomb the nuclear sites in Iran, because there is very much like this tension between sort of the sort of isolationist part of the party and the sort of neocon version of,
even though that like MAGA people, I think it was like 80% approved of the bombing Iran.
You know what's so interesting about that? Have you seen the polls where they just ask the question differently?
No.
Basically, if they say like, do you support Trump's decision to bomb Iran, it's like 87% of Republicans. If they say, do you support bombing Iran? And it's like, which is why issue polling is just not very reliable.
Yeah.
Because even go back to Afghanistan, like 80% of Americans said they wanted out of Afghanistan, but no one was happy about the way we did it. Because they're like, yeah, we said we want it out, but that's not what we had in mind. Like people, like the second we see pictures on the news, like our opinion can change really quickly from like talking about hypotheticals. But you're right. Like the vast majority of Americans and Republicans supported the decision regardless of how you answer the question. But when you asked it, like, do you support Trump's decision? Same thing with Ukraine. Now that he's kind of arming Ukraine again and all these kind of things that were, again, such a thing that was an interesting thing, but there's clearly no real pushback. You're getting pushback from Tucker Carlson's and these people, but of course Tucker Carlson's a nut job.
Sadly.
He has totally lost his way.
Oh my gosh, I know. I used to be in love with him.
I know. And like Mackenzie was like Tucker's biggest fan, and then he slowly.
I have a T-shirt with his face on it.
Does he have the bow tie in the picture?
I don't even know.
Him ditching the bow tie is such a like. Look at me, I'm like a casual, normal guy, like as if he's not. Anyway.
Yeah, he has a fall from grace. No, he's a complete nut.
But I mean, I'll say, like, at least in the Iran thing, it was people were talking about, is this going to be the MAGA split? And it was obvious that it wasn't going to be the case because it was just like Tucker and like two other people. It's like, what's his name? The stupid comedian that's on Joe Rogan stuff that thinks he's so smart. And he's such an idiot.
Dave Smith.
He's such a moron. I really hate him. Like, I'm just like, you can't just ask, like, you're such an anti-Semite. Like, just admit that you hate Jews.
For
like,
sure.
Just admit it. And but he's an idiot. But it was just a couple people like that saying, this is World War III and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, you got to like get me how we get from here to World War III. So I really didn't think that was going to be the thing. But the reason I think this might last, and I'm happy to be wrong, we can talk about this in the near future, is because people have been obsessed about it for so long.
Yeah.
Iran and Ukraine are really just a thing.
Terminally online people have been obsessed with it.
And people have been obsessed with it without, like, unconnected to Donald Trump. Does that make sense? Like, this has been a thing that like has been an obsession, and for the most part, it's been like because on the Republican side, certainly it is we're going to get a list of Democrats that are the evil people. I do think there's the Donald Trump string that they're pulling on. That's like that is the deep state that's responsible for the stolen election in 2020, which didn't happen. All the things. January 6th being a whatever they try to claim it is, and all the stuff. They're trying to find this nefarious evil person. They're never going to find it because it doesn't exist. Again, because people can't keep secrets.
Agree.
But I think what's interesting, and I think the thing that is Donald Trump's going to have a little bit of trouble with, and like I said, unless he does something smart, but right now at this point, is that he's coming out and he's just going like, forget about it. I can't believe you're even still talking about it. And they're not releasing anything, and they're not really explaining why Pam Bondi lied, because she did lie over and over again. And if she did lie, like, is she lying then or is she lying now? Because there's only two options there, right?
I don't know if she lied, but she just overpromised.
Well, I mean, I feel like saying I have the client list on my desk
she
is a lie.
She didn't say client list. She said
she was asked, is there a client list? She says, I have it on my desk.
Yeah, okay.
So you're right. You're right. Lawyer wise, she did not say the client list is on my desk, but she was asked, is there a client list? Or I think that was the question. And then it was, it's on my desk right now, waiting to review. That is, and like I said, I know she's a lawyer. I know she's not dumb. So that's why I say that's a lie. And I don't know if they just thought that she had to have known there wasn't a client list at that point. I don't believe she went on a Fox News interview. And again, she's not a dumb person.
Yeah.
I don't believe you as a lawyer go on TV without the prep of knowing like every question that's going to come at you in that situation and the answer to it. And then the binder thing, again, a stunt that I think she thought would give, and I'm not completely convinced is like, this is all Pam Bondi's doing. Pam Bondi is essentially a second press secretary that just happens to be at the top of the job. Everyone in Trump's administration is just another press secretary. Agreed? Right?
Kind of, yeah.
Pretty much?
Yeah.
And so someone had to tell her to do that, in my opinion, or at least she got the blessing from someone to do that, right? Yeah. So to me, those are huge kind of lie things that you have to explain why she was either lying then or she's lying now. And I don't think you can get around that without firing her or her stepping down. And I don't think Trump wants to fight because he doesn't want to go through a confirmation thing. Yeah. That's why Bongino is the most obvious person to fall for this, because that's just, you just literally pick someone else. You don't have to go through the Senate or anything.
Trump and Dan, that is not going to happen either, Blake. They're all three going to stay.
But if Dan wants to have a radio job after this, he might have to.
Blake, people will move on and forgive.
Not that fan base that he grew. Because he grew that fan base entirely on conspiracy theories and deep state nonsense. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but just not solely Epstein. Because here's the thing.
No, I know it's not just Epstein.
Either you believe Trump and Dan and Pam and Kash, or you believe those four people are covering up like a child predator sex ring.
Right, but
which
my
is
point
insane.
Is that's what people think right now, though.
Well, then they should come out and say that.
Well, and that's why I agree. That's why I'm saying if they don't, though, I don't think this is going to go away. So I think you're right. I think we're both a little right in the sense that I think you're right. If they come out and say we were wrong, which Trump never likes to say.
That's not going to happen either, Blake.
But I think they have to.
They're not going to come out and say they're wrong. They're just going to come out and say, hey, this is what we have. And there's no there. Like, there's no list. Like, this is what and hopefully they'll like give us some pieces. Like, this is what we can release. This is why we thought we had a list, blah, blah, blah,
and,
blah.
And Bongino had the most honest answer on that Fox News interview as far as going like, yeah, I mean, we've looked at it and I'm telling you, there's not a there. I thought there was and there isn't.
And I believed him. And I thought that was good of him to do. And I love Dan.
Oh gosh, I do not. But I mean, not that I've like listened to his show a lot. I've just like
in the clips I've seen,
I'm just like,
I just think he's an honest broker.
Yeah, but I don't think you can say you're an honest broker when you peddle in conspiracy theories to make a living.
That's entertainment.
I know, but like my point is, this is like.
We're talking about conspiracy theories.
Oh, I know, but I'm not making a living spouting conspiracy theories. And that's what he essentially, and Kash Patel and all these people talking about the deep state did. And my point is, at some point, that's going to catch up with you. You're going to have to prove it at some point, right?
Yeah, no, I think oppressor with Pam. And let's have Dan and Kash on either side of her. And just like answering a bunch of questions, I think would be super helpful. And it would help like cool things off for a bit. And like the hardcore. Okay, let me tell you a joke that I heard on Ben Shapiro's show, and I was like, man, that hits. He was like, someone went to heaven and they saw God, and
I've heard this, but go say it. Yeah.
And he said, God, who killed JFK? And he says, Lee Harvey Oswald. And he goes, it's all the way up to God. Like the case,
this goes higher than we thought it did.
Yeah, this goes higher than we thought it did. Like. People will never, like, whatever they release, whatever they do, people will never believe that he committed suicide and that there's like not a list. So like, give them what they can and then move on. Like, if you're a conspiracy theorist, get a life. Like
right, but how much of Donald Trump's base do you think is like that? I think it's a higher percentage than you think it is.
Okay, I have friends who are crazy conspiracy theorists. And they like hardcore are like, oh, they're all covering it up. Yeah. He's an asset and he won $1 million. And they still are like MAGA for life.
So they
yes, Blake.
And this is me not being able to get in that mindset.
I know, Blake,
they think that now Trump and Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel
like,
are
I literally
all part of the
them,
deep
and
state,
said,
but they support him?
Yes.
Even though they're part of the people that are supporting
because
the torture
think
and
that they're
sexual assault of
lying
children.
for it for like a better cause, like for world peace. If he was like an Israel asset, do you understand that? That's what I'm telling you. That's what people think. Like, I know you think it's crazy. That's what people think, that they're doing it for the better good of the world.
I just don't. But
peace.
you really think those people are just going to be like, we're good with not getting an explanation at all from the Trump administration? I just don't see that going as well as
I think they might
does.
like blame Pam or Kash, but they're not going to blame Trump.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Like, that's not going to hurt Trump.
Someone has to lose a job over this. Right. I mean, like I'm saying, if nothing changes, I do think this could be a thing that like hurts his coalition.
His crazy coalition, maybe, but
just because when you feed people that there's this conspiracy all the time and it's like there's this deep state,
like,
and then
they're
going
to move on to another conspiracy theory.
Well, I know, but it has. I mean, the deep state has always been the thread. I mean, that's the thread in the Epstein and the January 6th and the stolen election and all of it.
Move on to another deep state.
Maybe you're right. I mean, I see
like
this
to
one.
me, like the same week this comes out that like Biden used his auto pin, which to me is like an even crazier like thing that happened in a bigger scandal, and like we should be talking about that.
See, I don't think that's a big deal.
Like
they all use it.
Yeah, I know, but he was using his auto pin like, and then changing it. Like his staffers were like changing it when they found out like people did like other things.
Yeah,
like,
but I'm saying like pardon wise, like that's such an absolute power that the president has that I think we probably need to take away at this point. That I don't think that there can be a scandal there because it's not as scandalous as the rest of the administration that was being run by 5 people that weren't the president of the United States. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean,
like the auto pin is like not.
The auto pin to me for like the pardons is.
It's not even a cherry on top. It's like And Trump did the same thing. I mean, he with one stroke pardoned 1,600 people or whatever. So it's not any different really than now I agree that like I don't think either one of them did what the pardon power is really supposed to do, which is like you're supposed to take every case individually, and neither one of them did that. Biden didn't do that.
I don't think
Trump.
Biden knew who he was pardoning though. Like
No,
I think that is a scandal.
I believe that part. I believe he said I want these kind of offenses pardoned, low level drug offenses and stuff like that. And I agree that he's going to have to live with the fact that that's how violent criminals got out on that, because there were people that pled down to lesser charges, and because they have that lesser charge, it got caught up in that thing. Like, he's gonna have to deal with that, and that's gonna be his legacy. I don't think it's the problem as far as like the scandal. Does that make sense?
The Republicans should be talking about that this week instead of this.
I sort of yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do, but it's not working because no one cares.
I know, but
because everyone's like, I mean, look, I'm even a person that is happy to bring up the Biden stuff fairly often because I think it's not been talked about enough.
A good past couple of weeks.
I agree,
and it's like, I'm just like, people need to move on.
Yeah, I think I think the combination of there being bipartisan stuff for this, the fact that you've got Democrats and Republicans,
now they do.
And Mike Johnson is trying to say it should be released now, that's pretty shocking. The Speaker of the House, who is absolutely a Trump sycophant.
They're going to release something soon.
I think they'll have to.
Again, things will be redacted, and people will say like, "Oh, well, this is redacted because it has this name."
I just don't understand, like, what is the harm in releasing absolutely everything you have, and then just making sure that it doesn't like. My only concern is victims. That is my only concern in all of this stuff. Is like, they should not be dragged through anything. There should be absolutely nothing that we can. And look, even if you came out and said, again, Trump would be well served to listen to the people that he puts around him. That I'm sure someone has told him this. Hey, what you should do is say, the reason we're not releasing a lot of this stuff is because we don't think it's fair to the victims. And
Pam kind of did say that.
Yeah, but I think it's got to come from Trump. I don't think it can come from Pam Bondi or Dan Bongino or Kash Patel at this point.
Well, the good thing, Blake, is Trump's team is also terminally online.
They are.
They're all following these MAGA influencers. They're all hearing from them.
This doesn't even feel that online, though. I mean, I'm seeing this is like all the links in my newsfeed are like now NBC News, and it's not.
I mean, like the MAGA people who are like talking shit.
Oh yeah.
Like on Twitter and stuff like that. Like. The Trump's team is on that. Like, Trump's team knows
too much on that.
Agree.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's getting back to Trump. Like, they know they need to do something. Like, they're not stupid. And I think they will. And I think like Trump will say something, or like Pam will have like a presser, and they'll release something that they can, and like hope that helps. You're
right. It's absolutely wishful thinking to think that this is. I say wishful thinking for people like me or people like Democrats that think this is going to be the thing that like takes Donald Trump down. I'm not saying that.
Why would you want this to be the thing that takes down Donald Trump?
It would be kind of sweetly ironic that like the conspiracy theory that he peddled, like
you sound like, are we on Pod Save America?
No, God, oh, don't even say that. No, look,
that's what they're saying though, Blake.
I know, but listen, no. What I'm saying is that he's never met a conspiracy theory he doesn't like. He's even conspiracy theorizing about this right now. That's what I'm saying is not going to work for him. To try to blame, he's trying to say that this was written by Obama and Comey and Clinton. Like, this all happened in his first administration. And then it's his administration now. There is no one else that he can blame for it. This was his FBI. This was his Department of Justice both times. And there's just you cannot blame this on Biden or Obama or Clinton. There's just no way that that's going to work, I think, this time. Because I think enough people are going, yeah, but we elected you so that you could be the person that uncovers what's underneath these rocks. And that's why I think it's at least a little bit ironic, is that I never mind people getting sort of justice in a way where I think if you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes sometimes. And he's, more than anyone, loves a conspiracy theory. And for him to all of a sudden be pretending that this is a dumb conspiracy theory, but while also using another conspiracy theory to try to explain it away, I just don't think that's going to work well. So it wouldn't like make me sad if it's the thing that like tarnishes Donald Trump. It's also so stupid that it would be this and not any of the like tariffs. I think the tariffs are the thing that should.
I agree.
But it won't be the thing that probably does until it actually hurts people economically.
If things get like too hot, too bad for him, he will fire Pam.
Yeah, I think so.
Say, like,
oh no, for
like,
sure.
Worse, like you're like scaring me now. Like it's gonna like hurt his presidency.
Oh, I think it. I think it will be a thing that potentially. Because you're right, he's had some wins.
Then Pam will be gone.
Maybe, but that's what I'm saying. There has to be some sort of action.
I think something will release soon, and hopefully Pam will have or someone will have a presser.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I think Kash having a presser would be great.
a long, let's answer all the questions.
Yes.
Let's
open to everyone. Let's get it all out there.
Let's make it a 3-hour thing or whatever. Like answer every question honestly. Honestly, throw the DOJ under the bus in 2008 if you want to. It's like, I'm okay with saying that was a bad decision. Like I said, I can understand both sides of that argument that say that's too lenient of a slap on a wrist for someone that you know is doing terrible things to 14-year-olds.
Yeah, I think everyone has said that.
But I also understand that like the DOJ might not think that they had a case that they could take and reliably get him convicted on. And so they'd rather get a plea deal that gets him some punishment for it than nothing at all. I can see both sides, especially, like I said, after reading that grand jury thing and realizing that these girls did not want to testify in court. And I understand completely why they wouldn't want to. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely their prerogative. They have every right to not want to do that. And I don't blame them at all for it. I just think that I think the other thing that bothers me about it is, the reason I think it could be detrimental to him is because, again, going back to no one wants to see kids hurt. I think pretty much across the board. Right. And I think that because that aspect of this is so egregious, there's like, how did this guy get away with this for so long? How did he have so many victims? It still doesn't seem like justice is served. If he dies by suicide or is killed, doesn't really matter either way.
And I do think there were other men involved that like...
I'm sure there were, Like, now, I don't think that I would be very... Again, I would like the Department of Justice to come out and say, like, look, this is a proving trafficking on a federal level is very, very hard.
Yeah.
And it's not, especially with like sexual stuff, it is not easy for them to do so. It's a lot of he said, she said kind of thing, which is unfair, but it's the fact of the matter is that you've got to get a jury of people to say, without a doubt, this happened. And it's really hard to do when you're dealing with things from years ago. I mean, again, this indictment is from the 2000s, essentially, even though it happens starts happening in 2019 or whatever. They're still looking back 10 years. So memories and all sorts of things. It's just going to be, it would not surprise me if the DOJ said, we just thought it'd be too hard to prosecute. And so we didn't do it.
Yeah.
And they do that sometimes. Now, I think this is also a good lesson to learn that you would think Pam would have learned this from James Comey, is like, this is why there's a Department of Justice directive to not talk about cases.
Yeah, I know, but she can't help herself.
I know, but again, that's because I think Trump was okay with it or told her to. And so that's why I'm okay with this biting him in the ass a little bit, because you created this circus. You were partially responsible for the circus that was created here because you have been fanning these flames for so long. And, I want to see things do better in the Department of Justice. We just lost a light. I don't think they've done a particularly great job at any of this stuff in the last couple decades. I think that they've been, I don't know. I just feel like there's been some problems there. And so this would be a great opportunity to say, here's the mistakes of the past. Here's how we're going to fix them in the future. But you've got to be honest about that stuff going forward. But the truth is, you're going to burn some people on your side. Like,
yeah,
it's your old AG. It's like Pam Bondi might have to go down. I just think that people want that transparency, especially when it comes with the kids. I think if it's any other case, you'd be able to get away with this. I think you're right. I just think that when it comes to like sexual abuse of minors, I think people are normal. Like I said, normal people are upset about this.
Yeah.
People that are in conspiratory world are super upset about this. They're not really in their right minds about it, but I think they're okay to be upset about it. Like, their motivation is okay. I just think that split between having to explain that, like, how do you explain to your followers that for years you've been saying there's this deep state that's pulling all the strings and stuff, and insinuating that that's what was happening with the Epstein stuff. And now all of a sudden you're the person that's saying there's nothing to see here without being more transparent about it. I don't think those people will buy that. No,
I don't either. And again, I think that they're going to give us more.
Do you think that do you have any idea of what we'll get there? Like, what do you, because you pay more attention to the right side of online stuff, is there any sort of speculation about what is the thing you could throw the crowd that makes them happy?
I mean, again, I don't think anything is going to make them happy, but
or at least like calm down.
Probably some of the files from like the original like federal cases. Like, I mean, I like releasing that. I don't know. I don't know what, but I know like they're going to have to do something.
I just think there has to be an admission that like they oversold something at some point. Like Pam Bondi's either going to have to say that or Donald Trump's going to have to say that.
Donald Trump is not
He would
going
never.
to say
Right,
that.
I know, but it's just hard for him to say the deep state's out to get me. And even to right now be paralleling it with the Russia stuff, which absolutely was a hoax. That. But you can't like that. To me, Donald Trump is saying out loud, my name is like, I'm pointed at in this stuff. And that's why it's fake.
Yeah, and that's what people think.
I know, but like that's like to me, that's how he's doing himself no favors. Like he's making it worse.
Yeah, I see how you're making it worse, but like that's how he truly feels, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, but I think that if his name's really attached to this, it doesn't make any like I'm like I don't believe it is. Like I don't.
No, but his name could be in it.
Well, I'm sure it is, but like just like other people's names are in it as casually mentioned, but there's no like they say over and over again. Just because these names come up on flight logs or any other sort of thing does not mean that they're
but
being
like
accused of a crime.
You say that, but like everyone thinks that Bill Gates was involved.
Yeah, you're right.
Just because his name was mentioned, like. Your name is mentioned with him. Like, that's not great.
Yeah, but Donald Trump, of all people, would be able to deflect that as
I know,
right?
but...
And it just seems like the better way would be to say, here's all the information. Here's why we were wrong. Or you don't even have to say we were wrong. We just like there... You can even say that, like, whatever. It was... But this is what we have. This is what was at the FBI. Maybe someone got rid of it in the past.
Maybe they're working on that, Blake.
Maybe. I don't know. But I think it could be. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for talking conspiracy theories with me. Do you have any interesting conspiracy theories that you do like while we're talking about conspiracy theories? Is there one that you do buy?
I am such like a shutter downer of conspiracy theories. And like, I think conspiracy theorists are mentally unwell.
Is there even a fun one you like?
I'm trying to think.
Okay, I'm going to turn your light back on so that you can actually be seen before we do that. Hold on one second.
Nate, like, what are some?
Well, okay. I guess it depends what you mean by conspiracy theory, because... I just mean, I guess what I mean is like the truth we think we know is not the complete truth. I generally do not buy that there's groups of people working together to like, lie about something. I think for the most part, people are just acting self-interest alone.
Agree. And again, it's so hard for more than two people to keep a secret.
Right.
That's why like I don't believe most conspiracy theories.
But it's like the right's always had a problem with this. More so than the left. But like I've seen a bunch of stuff lately of, people on the left still believing that like the entire Trump assassination was fake. Like it was a campaign thing. And like, again, do you know how many people would have to be in on that? Like Secret Service agents and local law enforcement. And keep in mind, this is not Donald Trump, the president. This is just Donald Trump, the candidate, as if he would have control over pulling strings at the Secret Service and the FBI. And like New York Times has a photo of the bullet whizzing by his head. It's like, now I do believe here's one that I would say I believe. I think that Donald Trump, I think he egged on the injury a little bit.
Disagree.
I do think
he didn't egg it on. Like a bullet whizzed past and cut his ear.
I don't think he needed to wear the pad at the convention. I don't believe his injury was severe enough to have
Did
that
he wear
big
it the whole time, or he took it to wear it the whole
it.
time? I'm fine with
that. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it was a little bit like I will buy that, because I do think he probably got hit with a fragment of the bullet, not actually the entirety of the bullet, because I don't. There's no way that wouldn't just like blow your ear off. Does that make sense? Like, no, I think it could. Like, a lot of blood can come from a very small injury to something like an ear or your forehead and stuff like that. They'll bleed a lot. So I don't believe it was like gravely injured. Like I said, I don't think the giant pad. I think a little Band-Aid probably would have covered it fine. So that I believe, but I don't believe all the rest of the stuff. That's as far as I can go.
I do
on these
believe
things.
the conspiracy theory surrounding the shooter, like. Some of that stuff is insane.
I don't, because again, they almost all fit the same profile. It's like loners. He clearly was just looking to be notorious. I mean, he was looking for Biden campaign events too in his Google search engine. I think it's just like Donald Trump happened to be the one that came within 50 miles of where he lived. And I think that's it. I think that's the only reason he picked him. I don't think it had anything to do with anything else.
I'm trying to think of more conspiracy theories. I really like.
I'll tell you the one that I do like.
Realist.
I believe, and it's not a conspiracy theory in the sense that I don't think it was. Again, I think it's explained by government ineptitude is that I absolutely think that John Doe number 2 existed in the Oklahoma City bombing.
Really?
Yeah, there was too many witnesses that said the exact same thing and described the exact same person, and then picked a guy that was, I believe he was like an Iraqi, basically the equivalent of like the Secret Service for Saddam Hussein.
Really?
And he was here working like with a group of other people. They all had these tattoos that identified them as, I can't remember the exact part of the Iraqi guard or whatever. And every one of the witnesses. I've
never even heard of this.
There was a local news person, Janie Davis, that worked at News Channel 4 at the time, that kept chasing this kind of stuff down. And she went and took secret video surveillance of this work crew, one of which she thought could be John Doe number 2. And he was also at the motel and the strip club that was some sort of, I can't remember all the details right now. And all of the people that saw picked him out of this video lineup of a bunch of different Middle Eastern looking guys. So, and then later on, the FBI even sort of admitted that like once they had Timothy McVeigh saying I was the only one, again, to have a case on someone, they just go, we're not adding any, like we are just like eliminating everything else that's not completely about like the exact narrative that we can prove in court. And so I think they just started ignoring that thing. Once they had a guy that was saying I did it alone, you don't need the other person. So they, later sort of admitted they dropped the ball in pursuing the leads that were there. Again, I don't think it's because someone was trying to cover for someone. Although I do think that Bill Clinton would have had a hard time selling that there was any sort of foreign connection at all at that point. I think that's a whole different bag of worms you got to deal with.
For sure.
So I think that there were more people that knew about Oklahoma City than Timothy McVeigh, Terry Nichols, and Michael Fortier.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Like it's just there was too much. I don't think we really wanted to talk about how crazy the right-wing sort of militia, anti-government crowd was post-Waco kind of thing. And so we just got to kind of conveniently say, oh, this is one kind of crazy guy. But there's a couple good like documentaries on that whole like kind of militia, anti-government stuff that was going on in the 90s that led up to the Waco stuff and then after the Waco stuff that is certainly interesting and at least is eye-opening for the fact that like there's more of that stuff now than I think there probably was then. Like that stuff sort of concerns me, but I certainly don't think that it was like Timothy McVeigh just did all this on his own.
Okay.
But I don't think it's the government blew it up. I don't think that like we did 9/11 or
You're not
going
to go that far. Really.
No, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like
no, I just don't think I just am not into conspiracy theories.
Yeah. The fun, like I like ones that are like, that's kind of fun. But
like Bridget McCrone being a man.
Well, no, I mean that like that kind of stuff. Like,
I like almost. That's probably the closest conspiracy theory that I believe.
Can I tell you? This is what I think every time. Okay, the transgender stuff. The most unfortunate side effect of it is that you cannot be an ugly woman without being accused of being a man.
I don't think she's an ugly woman.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in general, I feel like that's the new thing. It's like if you have anything that's not like Sydney Sweeney level, obviously a woman, people are like, well, they're probably a man. They probably used to be. I just feel like that's like everyone's favorite new thing. Yeah. They do it with Michelle Obama, which is ridiculous. I think.
Oh, yeah,
and they do it with, like,
awful.
So I think most of that stuff is, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And I just feel like that's a bad side effect.
No, but if I were to believe anyone, it would probably be that one.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think most of this stuff is like silly. I do. Again, I always want to go, okay, if that's the case, then what about this? And then no one ever has an answer for that secondary thing. No one ever has an answer for like, well, if they killed Jeffrey Epstein, why would they not kill Ghislaine Maxwell? Like, it seems like she would also be someone that you'd want to take out if you're not going to. Also, why wouldn't you have killed him in like 2008 when he got convicted of one set of these crimes? You know, like there's all sorts of questions you have to go like, why wouldn't they have done that then? Or if you're going to kill him, why not do it? I don't know. There's all sorts of things. Okay. Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. We'll see what happens. We'll see who's right. I don't know if we need to like bet a pizza over this or something.
We'll bet a pizza.
Okay. So here's what we'll bet. We'll bet a pizza.
I bet that they're going to release something soon.
Are we still talking about this? Is this still on major news a month from now?
Major news?
Asiaugust?
No.
What are we at? My watch does not have a date on it.
It's July.
It's July 16th.
16th.
Or 17th when this comes out. So the 17th. Will we have major news articles about this And even the sort of fractioning of like, I don't know how we can measure this. I would say like, I guess
I say if like my podcast episodes are still mentioning it in a month,
okay,
then I'm wrong.
Okay.
And I just like,
I'll take that bet.
Yeah. I think people will have moved on in a month for sure. Moved on.
Yeah.
Especially in like the Trump world. Cause like so much happened so quickly.
Yeah. But I'm going to let you get out of this bet potentially. We're coming up to August, which nothing happens in Washington in August.
Yeah, that is true. This is a bad timing.
If they don't do something next week, I think for sure.
Like in Trump world.
I think if they don't like release all the files next week. But of course, even then, I think we're talking about it.
Yeah. But maybe in like a different way.
Yeah, I would say I think I need major news. I won't even go to podcasts. I'll say like major news, NBC
these
News,
losers will talk about
CNN,
anything.
Someone, like we will talk. We podcast people talk. I actually don't normally talk about this stuff because I know it won't be talked about. I even thought this because we talked about doing this like a week ago.
Yeah,
and we've just both been really busy. And I even thought us trying to do this in the middle of this week would potentially be like, let's scrap it and talk about something else because maybe it's going to go away.
No, it's
but
hot.
I feel like it's ramped up.
Yeah.
I saw more articles today than I did last
too.
week.
Yeah.
So I will take that bet. I think August 17th.
Yeah. No, I think people have moved on.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Blake.